Alright, so I made a repo documenting how to set up the H100 VFD with UC, CNC, and the G540 drivers. I found it was tricky, so I figured number one, I'll write it down for myself. Haha. Number two, I'll write it down for other folks. So the assumptions on this is that you have the same VFD that I have. That this is the UCNC version, probably work with future versions, but whatever. This is the USB to RS485 converter that I'm using for my PC. You also have some wires. You have a 5-volt relay, which is normally closed, and a low-level trigger, and then you have a diode. So the wiring diagram is in the GitHub repo. Don't know how to make this bigger, but you can download the file and open it. But basically you wire the RS45 into the positive and negative from the VFD. You wire X1 to the normally closed side of the relay and ground from the VFD to COM on the relay. You wire the output from output 2, which is DB25 pin 1, to the input on the relay, and then you set it with a low level trigger. This is the diode for flyback diode, and then this is the P8 power supply for powering the G540. The spindle is wired as per the instructions, and then I have a 220 PSU that powers the VFD and the water pump. So that's the wiring piece. The next piece is the parameter settings. So you set the parameters like you set any other parameters on the VFD. Basically, you hit set to get into the parameter menu, and then you navigate up and down using these arrows. You can use set to move to the different digits, and then when you hit set again, it'll go into that function, right? So you want to go ahead and set the parameters thus. The first two are for making sure that it uses the Modbus control to communicate. This one is so that it uses the X1 port as a safety interlock, so that only when the relay is open does it work. And then you need to set the Modbus slave address, baud rate, and data format. So the next step is to set it up in UCCNC. So I will show you how that looks. So this is UCCNC. I have also set up charge pump, which you don't need to do, but I do, or else the charge pump won't work. So I'm going to turn on the charge pump so that the G540 doesn't fault. So now you see it, it goes to green now, G540. And so in terms to set up the Modbus control, go to Configure Plugins, find Modbus Master, and then click Enabled. Close that, and then exit. You need to exit and then relaunch UCCNC in order for that change to take effect. Alright, so for the next part, what we're going to do is set up Modbus Master. So in order to do that, we go into Settings, Configure Plugins, find Modbus Master, hit Enabled, close that and exit UCCNC. Then relaunch UCCNC. That's what you need to do for Modbus Master to work. Then go ahead and go back into Plugins, hit Show, and it'll start out with nothing here. So the first thing you want to do is hit Add Connection. Select the connection you just added and then configure it. So choose Serial RTU, VFD, browse for the USB serial port that's created when you connect the USB to RS45 dongle, and now you have a connection. So in order to see whether the connection is working with the VFD powered on, hit start loops, and if this comes back green, then you have a connection and that part is working. Great. If not, check the settings that you put on the VFD or the settings you entered in here. Next thing we're going to do is create the functions. So the functions are listed here. The way that the plugin works is a little tricky in that they're persistently on top. But we'll figure it out. So the first function we're going to call spindle control. Perfect. Perfect. Let's try again. Don't know why that happened, but we will soldier on. So add connection, serial RTU, VFD, browse, USB port, RS-45, start loops, working fine, stop loops, go back to connection. Now we hit add function, select the new function we added, and we'll go here. So first one we're going to call spindle control, and choose write single register. Modbus start register 412, slave address 1, UCNC address 0, excuse me. So that's the first function. Add another function. Click on the function you just added, and this is the one that's going to write the spindle speed to the VFD. Write single register, Modbus start register 513, UCNC start register 1. Good. Add another one. This is our third function. We're going to call it read frequency. We're going to do read input registers, slave address 1, Modbus start register 0, register count 1, UCNC start register 2. Since we're only doing one register, I bet we could just do read input register. They don't have one single one, so fine. So now hit start loops, go back to the debug view, and if everything worked out right, you should see green across the board, and that's established communication between the VFD and the Modbus parameter. So what it's doing is it's copying back and forth from the spindle to UCNC holding values and vice versa. The M3 files need to, instead of the M3, M4, M5 files, the M files that you're going to use for spindle control need to have C#, I think it is, code that sends signals to the VFD, and also it sets the output pin so that the relay is enabled. So download each of these files to the desktop, or wherever really. Alright, now you have these three files here. The UCCNC files are actually stored on the C drive, typically where you installed them, in profiles under the profile name for the profile that you have. So each of the M commands you can actually override if you want to with your own custom scripts. So drag these three files into that directory and replace them. Now we're going to launch UCCNC again. Let me change this up so that you can see everything at once. So you should see the UC300 at the top, the VFD on the left, the G540 in the middle, the relay with the green light, and then the spindle. And then on the lower portion of the screen you should see the UCCNC interface. So now I'm going to issue an M3 command. The relay clicks on, and then the spindle starts. You can see from the display on the VFD that it's showing 100. And now I send an M5 command. And it stops. I think it's sending 100 instead of 1,000 because I forgot to set the, yeah. So I need to set this for my spindle. And save that. And then it also will run backwards. Yeah, now it's going to 200 Hertz, which is what it should go to. Hit M5 and stop. And then importantly, if the system's either in reset or the program cancels, the output pin doesn't close to ground, so the relay doesn't open, which means that X1 is still connected to ground, which means that the VFD can't run. So that's critical, because if you don't do that, when you quit, it might spin out of control because all the grounds are tied. So that is how to use these directions to set up Modbus control for this VFD.